Hey, how's she going, boys? Mike here. Welcome back to Grampie's Workshops. I'm glad you dropped by. We got a little project today, getting ready for the fall, of course. It's that time of year. Lots of outdoor chores to do. Big chore today, we have to let down our water. It's getting on to that time where it's starting to get too chilly at night to take a chance of water freezing, damaging, not hoses so much, because hoses will stretch, but the fittings and all, like the valves, shut-off valves. So we don't want those to break. So today we're going to let down the water. Okay, so the process of letting the water down starts with switching over from where I draw the water. I have it set up here. The pump is in the boathouse here behind me. What I do when I'm switching over and take my water down for the winter, I have it set up so I can either draw water from the lake with this pump, the outdoor water pump, or I can draw water from a dug well I have under the boathouse. And this water we only use for outdoor use, like in the gardens and so on. It's not our drinking or potable water. We have a bored well for that. So this is just for outside water. So what I'm going to do then is just, I'm going to go through the process of switching over. Instead of drawing from the lake, I'm going to draw from the dug well under the boathouse. And then we'll start the process of letting down the water. So we're inside the boathouse now, and under this cover here is where the pump is. So I just lift this up and prop that against the wall. So that it won't fall on me. So in here with the pump, I have these valves set up, if you can see them. One here, this valve is shut off right now, and that goes to the dug well that's below where I'm squatted down here, below the boathouse. This one goes to the foot valve that's out in the lake. I'll open this valve. This is the valve that goes to the dug well. Okay, so now that's open. If I start my water, I should start to draw from the well below me. So let's go turn on some water. Okay, so you heard the pump run, and we're running water, but hopefully we're drawing it from below us. So I'm going to shut this valve off now. That goes out to the foot valve in the lake. They're hard to turn because they're under pressure. So now we're isolated from the lake right now, just drawing from the pit below, the dug well below us, and you can still hear water flowing. So now the pump will start again here in a sec. Alright, so we're drawing successfully from the pit below us. So now what I want to do is isolate the water that goes up to the camp in the barn in the shed. And here's the main shut-off for that water that goes up to the buildings. So I'll just turn this valve off here to shut off the water. Okay, so I shut the water off outside there. So now we're holding good pressure, so there's nothing leaking there. So I should be able to go pull that foot valve out of the lake and drain the water from this valve down. So when I get this foot valve out of the lake, I have a rope here. I just tie it off so that it won't go back into the lake through the winter. And there's also, I have a stop valve here. So I open that and let the water drain out of this. Now, I don't get this line fully emptied of water, but it gets empty enough so that it doesn't freeze or damage anything. Raise it up and let the foot valve open up. That's part of the reason why I keep this high here, is to get the foot valve to stay open. So now back here in the boathouse, the valve is turned off going to the foot valve in the lake. So I'll just open this valve, and that lets air in here, runs down through this foot valve line out to the lake. And like I say, it doesn't drain all the water out of that foot valve, but it drains enough so that if it does freeze, it doesn't swell up enough to damage the pipe. So I can draw water from this tap that's on the boathouse all winter if I need it, like if I wanted to flood the lake to make an ice rink or something. That's the reason I did it like that. So just before we go, just point out here, this is a 500 watt electric heater, and that keeps everything here in the winter time, keeps it all nice and warm. And knock on wood, I haven't had any freeze ups. So we just close this up again, and it's like we were never there. So at the greenhouse now, at the garden, before I start letting the water out of any of these lines, I want to take this water filter off because I don't want to blow air. I clear my lines with air. I don't want to blow air back through the filter. So I'll shut this valve. This will isolate the water filter and all the irrigation system in the garden. That's a big old gate valve. It takes a week and a half to close it. And then bleed off any pressure. And then release the filter. Be interesting. I changed this filter, I think, in July. And we'll see it's been in use for probably a month or more, month and a half, 6 weeks. So it's not that dirty. So I think changing the filter probably every month during the summer when we're using it would be the plan. And then I'm going to open this valve. Okay, here on the side of the woodshed, this valve is closed right now. I'm just going to disconnect this hose. Now all the valves are closed, including the valve down at the boathouse that allows the water to come up the hill to the camp in the barns and whatnot. So we don't have any leaks now. No water is coming out anywhere. So what I want to do is put air pressure on it to blow the water out systematically through each line. So I make one connection here, and this is just a little gizmo that I made up. It's got a regular hose connector on here, and on this end it's a pneumatic male plug. So I just screw that on here. So now I just connect up my pneumatic line, and I have the compressor set up and pressurized. So now this line is pressurized. So I'm going to open this, and it'll pressurize all the water lines at the camp and the barn, and we can start systematically draining them. So there she goes. We've now pressurized the system, so let's go to the greenhouse. That's the furthest away. Okay, here at the greenhouse, the sink, I'm going to open these taps. There'll be a gush of water, and then you'll hear air coming out, and you probably hear the compressor start up in the background, so let's try it. Now you can hear the compressor running. I run that just for like 30 seconds, 40 seconds or so, then I'll shut it off, wait for the compressor to catch up. But now what I want to do is I want to go and get the line that goes out to the irrigation system, and I'll open that line up and blow that line. So I'm going to disconnect here. Well, I don't want to take that whole hose off. I'll just disconnect it right here and right here. If I can. There we go. Now I'm going to open this valve and it'll just blow air out here. But I'll wait for the compressor to shut off first. Okay, now here we go. Also my hoses, I won't take the hoses in, no, I used to take my hoses in, but I wouldn't drain them or anything. I just take them in, put them in the shed. So I just leave them here now. If there's water in them, but there's no pressure, so they're not totally filled with water. So if they freeze, the hose will just swell, and I haven't had any issues with that. So I'll just leave them hanging there. Also, because there's still water in that filter, I'm going to take that filter can off, and I'll just leave that off all winter as well. This is a hose outlet on the barn. So I'm going to take this hose off here. And I'll put this little hose in the shed. But I'll leave this hose on the reel. Now I'll open this and let this blow off. I forgot about this tap here, so we may as well do that one. So again, we'll blow this off. And once again, around the side of the camp, take the nozzles off just so that they're all open-ended. We don't have to worry about pressure build-up if the hose freezes. And we can just leave that dangle on there, but I'm going to hold that here as I open this and blow out this line. Okay, one more tap around here at the front of the camp. And then the last one here at the camp, we'll just open this. Okay, back here where we all started it all, I'm going to disconnect the air line here, and the pressure that's in the system is going to blow back out. Okay, we'll use the blow these away, right? Okay, so that's it for blowing out the water. Now what I do is I go and leave all these valves open. I like to open them up all the way and then turn them back a quarter turn, just so that they're not pressed against anything inside the valve here. So that's what I'll do. I'll go around all those valves, open them up like that, leave them open. That way, if there's any freezing takes place, no air can compress in there and build up pressure and maybe split a pipe. When the water starts to freeze, it'll have lots of places to go. Letting down the water, we do it every fall, and it's kind of a sad, melancholy time when you're letting the water down, because you know that that's it. We'll soon be snowed in, but it's still, fall's a beautiful time of year. I got to say, it's probably my most favorite season of the year, fall. You get to sit out a lot. There's no bugs, that's what I like most. And it's not as hot, stinking hot as, but anyway, pretty warm today. But the cold weather is coming, so we thought we better get the water out, so we did. As you saw there, I've got the two systems where I can draw from the lake or draw from the well under the boathouse. And I switched those over, you know, and then in the springtime I can get my water back on pretty early before the ice is off the lake sometimes, because oftentimes the ice won't go off the lake like probably the latter part of April, and by that time there's no freezing to worry about, so I can put the water on because we can draw from the well under the boathouse. We don't have to worry about digging a hole in the lake to get the water. Anyway, I hope you liked the video. You know, not much to it, blowing air through a water line, getting sprayed, water all over the place. But anyways, has to get done. Thanks for tuning in. If you're new to the channel, welcome, boys, oh boys. I'm so glad you searched us out, and I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you come back often. And don't forget to thumbs up me. And for my regular viewers, thanks again for all the support you give the channel, for watching and commenting. I really appreciate that. And I try to answer every comment, so be prepared. Just saying. Have a safe and happy week, everyone. We'll talk to you.